Let's get to the numbers.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today, we're going over the Metro Phoenix market housing numbers for actually the week ending February 7th, and then also the closed numbers, end of month numbers for December. Oh,
Let's
boy.
go with January.
Let's just try January.
Yeah.
All right. I honestly, I just can't believe January is over. That's the problem. So anyway, so here's where we're at. Let's take a look. We have 37 days closed on market, just under a 1 month supply. Obviously, that's equating to just over a 100% absorption rate. Our average list price is at 780, almost 781,000. Average sale price this past week at 565, and we're sitting at a list price to sale price retention of about 101.24. Active inventory is continuing to drop. This is going to be a contention we're going to need to pay close attention to. And I think, Mike, the answer of the day today, the answer du jour, is become a listing agent. Because if you have the listings, they're going to sell. If you have a buyer, there's no guarantee you're going to have a listing. So find a property. So my answer would be focus on listings right now. Pending, 5,032 people had a meeting of the minds with a buyer and seller. Closed units sitting at 7,120. And that actually is for the end of January. We'll have a conversation about that. New listings, we only took 2,025, although it's above 2,000. If it's under 2,500, we are going in the wrong direction. 80 days on market, closed sitting at 37 days on market. Price ranges, I hope you're paying attention to this particular price range, because on the right-hand side, we give you the total. It's averaging 43 days on market, but it's now 54%. It was as low as 52%. So this is the first time we've seen month-over-month activity that's great enough that it's persuading these numbers to change. So we're at 54% of the entire MLS inventory is under 500,000, and sitting at 500 to a million is representing stable at 32% of the entire MLS. And then, of course, our million and up properties, again, very stable at that 13%. So watch that under $500,000 market. Everybody's been thinking it's going away because of the increases in pricing. I'm telling you, it's not. In fact, it's growing. Taking a look at our spreadsheet, which is where we're able to look at week over week and year over year, also month over month today. But you can see in the very center column, it says 2019 SW. That means the same week 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago now in 2019. We put that still there as a pre-COVID number to kind of watch. 2021 is the column to the left of it, and it's the same week that we're reporting. So January 7th of each of those weeks. So 2025 is what we took. We just talked about that. It was down just a little bit. Well, here's some silver lining. In 2021, we only took 1,671 listings this past week. These are super hyper local numbers, of course, but again, in 2,200 in the year 2019. So we're actually closer to our 2019 numbers than we were in the 2020 numbers, which shows positive movement, even though there's a red ticker. The red ticker is just telling you it went down over the last reporting period. Active inventory, yes, 5,885 is where it was at. It's 5,700. Slide drives to the right. We only had 4,900 listings available last year. So we have, basically 700, 800 more listings available right now than we had last year this same time. And of course, 2019, we don't really have to look at that number. We'll get a little depressed. So if we look at coming soon, we're sitting at 653 properties sitting there, 4,700 properties, single family detached, 560 new home inventory or pre-builds, and 5,718 non-distressed properties. Looking at pending, we use pending, remember, as, sure, listings is our sellers engaging and putting their properties on the market. And one of the reasons they may not be is because they're scared about finding something to move towards, which is another reason to take a look at knock, because of the fact that it'll position you to be able to buy a house without having to sell your house and really allow you to take advantage of this market. Not knowing knock right now is a mistake. 5,032 average people sitting in the marketplace right now, 4,877 last week. This is a point in time number. 5,900, almost 6,000 people a year ago, and 4,700 in 2019. So again, to my point, 5,032 this reporting period is pretty good, considering it's significantly below last year's numbers, which means there's not more people in the marketplace right now. There's actually fewer. I'm going to skip the close because we're going to talk about that at month end. But a 0.81 month supply, we were sitting at 1 month supply last year. Again, average sale prices are continuing to creep up. And again, remember, average sales prices, not necessarily, you saw last week we went down to 542, but then now we're back around 564. So again, this is a super fluctuating, a very capricious, it acts quickly type of number because we're only talking about taking what's closed in the last month and dividing it by the number of days of the month. So then we look at sale price, list price retention, and again, we're sitting right at about 100%. So the seller's not giving anything up, but at the same token, they're not getting a lot more. So either realtors are pricing the properties higher than average comp value, which is another potential issue, trying to get consumers to believe that they're going to get more, trying to take a listing by telling them that they're going to get more for the property than comp value is probably a bad position. But at the same token, that may be happening. We don't know. You should be marketing a property for its fair market value if the seller wants it to be, or not fair market, but comparable value. If the seller wants to market it higher, it's your choice then, whether you want to take on that activity. Looking at the month of January, so we're on the right-hand side comparing January to December. 9,009 properties we took last month in comparison to 8,300 the year before. So there's your 1,000 separation as far as your inventory is concerned. 8,498 properties active in throughout the month, 9,039 a year ago. Looking at our pending, the average people in with the meeting of the minds between the buyer and the seller, 6,448 properties last month versus 9,157. So there's 2,800 fewer people in the marketplace closing in escrow at any one time, and that's a good number to understand. Then taking a look at closed production, we had 7,120 units that were closed. These are relatively washed numbers. Usually my reports are coming out on the 8th or 9th and gives the MLS a week to get them. So I think these are going to come through relatively accurately. 7,120 closings a year ago, 7,360, pretty close. That's not far off the mark. Pretty good numbers from that perspective. And as you can see, as far as distressed inventory, the shadow foreclosure stuff, it's just not there. And I just kind of chuckle a little bit because, realistically, if you were to take a look at what the average number of properties that closed that were distressed, you're going to see that we're in the less than 0.3% of 1% versus, significantly greater numbers last year. Or excuse me, 2019. So again, looking down here at the statistical report, about a month's supply is where we were, and that's very commensurate to a year ago. So these are saying that the market is stabilizing. Whether we like what we see or not, these numbers are staying. The inventory, until we can get that inventory back up into the 7, 8, 9,000. And by the way, it was at 9,000 in December. So for it to only be at 5,000, you can see that we're just not taking the product. And the reason I believe, again, I'm going to reestablish that, is that the sellers don't know where they're going to go if they were to put their house on the market. So fewer people are putting their house on the market. You got to get creative. You need an answer to that problem, and we have one. Take a look at the average days on market, 27 days, still pretty brisk. That's been fluctuating a little bit. We really need to get this more back up to about that 60-day market. Whether it ever happens, I don't know. But, these are the times when all of the facets of real estate work at their most efficient active, whether it's inspections, whether it's lending, whether it's no matter what it is, if it's an aspect of real estate, a 60 to 70 day on market date time allows everybody to do their job at the highest caliber. So those are the numbers for the month of January. Thanks everybody for participating, and these are the different ways in which you can find us. Mike?
All right. Yeah, appreciate it. Good stuff. All right, Matt.